Good morning, everyone. This is actually a song that Swami wrote for his wedding ceremony, but it's a great message, even if it's not for a wedding ceremony. Lord, may we serve you all our days, ever rejoice to sing your praise, as we together your wisdom seek. Charge us with truth whene'er we speak. Lord, may we ever know your will. Come to us when our hearts are still, as we your guidance with joy receive. May we as one your bliss achieve. Lord, may we ever serve, Lord, may we serve you all our days, ever rejoice to sing your praise, as we together your wisdom seek. Charge us with truth whene'er we speak. Lord, may we ever know your will. Come to us when our hearts are still, as we your guidance with joy receive. May we as one your bliss achieve, as we your guidance with joy receive. May we as one your bliss achieve. And we'll sing this chant together. Lord, when in darkness, Lord, in confusion, always I'll follow thee. If I grieve or lose my way, only thou canst comfort me. All I live for is to love thee, my eternal friend. Lord, when in darkness, Lord, in confusion, always I'll follow thee. Lord, when in darkness, Lord, in confusion, always I'll follow thee. If I grieve or lose my way, only thou canst comfort me. If I grieve or lose my way, only thou canst comfort me. All I live for is to love thee, my eternal friend. All I live for is to love thee, my eternal friend. Lord, when in darkness, Lord, in confusion, always I'll follow thee. Lord, when in darkness, Lord, in confusion, always I'll follow thee. If I grieve or lose my way, only thou canst comfort me. If I grieve or lose my way, only thou canst comfort me. All I live for is to love thee, my eternal friend. All
Duty. That was beautiful. She had a very short notice. It came to me while I was walking in the woods today, and she was so generous as to play it for us all. So thank you, Duty. And I'd like to call up a special guest to sing with me, Giovanna. We're going to sing Cloisters together. It's our favorite song. Okay. Let's sit up nice and straight for meditation. Begin with a double inhale through the nose, tensing, exhale, ha ha. We'll do 3 of them together. Inhaling, tensing the whole body. Exhale, letting go. Inhale again, double inhale, tensing, and letting, drawing in all the energy. Inhaling, tense, and then relax. Beautiful. Palms are upward. We'll begin with some measured breathing. We'll count for a count of 7. If you'd like, you're welcome to mentally chant Om in each one of the energy centers in the body, holding at the spiritual eye for a count of 7, Om, 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 and exhaling down the spine for a count of 7. We'll do measured breathing in 3 rounds together, and I'll count with us. Let's begin inhaling from the root chakra. Hold. And exhaling. Inhale. Hold. Om, 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 om. And exhale. Inhale from the root. Hold. And exhale. Om, 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 om. And letting go of pranayama. Calling on the great masters of self-realization as we affirm together the truth of our existence. I am spirit. Watching the natural breath from the spiritual eye. And on the next inhale, mentally chant Hong. And on the exhale, Saw. Affirming the truth of who you are. I am spirit. And we'll meditate together for 5 minutes.
Remaining in an inward state, listen to affirmations for self-healing. This week's affirmation is introspection. People commonly delude themselves with easy rationalizations. Maybe I wasn't as kind as I might have been, they'll say. But wouldn't you have been unkind too if he'd treated you in that way? It wasn't my fault. The fault was his. Thus, the blame for every wrong is placed at one's neighbor's door. Introspection means to behold oneself from a center of inner calmness, without the slightest mental bias, open to what may be wrong in oneself, not excusing it, but not condemning it either. Introspection means referring what one sees to the superconscious mind and attachedly accepting guidance when it comes. Let's affirm together in a loud voice, commanding the attention of the conscious mind. I am what I am, wishing cannot change me.
I am what I am, wishing cannot change me.
Let me therefore face my faults with gratitude.
Let me therefore face my faults with gratitude.
For only by facing them
Only by facing them
can I work on them and change them.
can I work on them and change them.
And now in a more conversational tone, I am what I am, wishing
am-
cannot change me.
I am what I am, wishing cannot change me.
Let me therefore face my faults with gratitude.
Face my faults with gratitude.
For only by facing them
For only by facing them
can I work on them and change them.
can I work on them and change them.
And now taking it deeper into a whisper, into the subconscious mind. I am what I am, wishing cannot change me. Let me therefore face my faults with gratitude. For only by facing them can I work on them and change them. And now in silence, taking it even deeper into the subconscious. I am what I am, wishing cannot change me. Let me therefore face my faults with gratitude. For only by facing them can I work on them and change them. And now with rising aspiration, bringing our attention to the point between the eyebrows, affirming in deep silence, I am what I am, wishing cannot change me. Let me therefore face my faults with gratitude. For only by facing them can I work on them and change them. Prayer. Let me not delude myself with desires, Lord. Teach me to see behind the play of my thoughts thy ever calm gaze of wisdom.
And now we'll have our reading for Rays of the One Light.
Good morning. So this is a reading from Rays of the One Light, weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. This week is week 23. Why do devotees fall? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. An endlessly fascinating question is, why did Judas fall after receiving the extraordinary blessing of being accepted into the inner circle of Jesus Christ's disciples? For Judas was one of the 12 apostles, yet he betrayed Jesus and earned for himself the opprobrium of Christendom for all futurity for his sins. We find Judas reprimanding Jesus just days before that betrayal. Jesus was aware that his disciples would soon be facing, with his death, the supreme tragedy of their lives. Allowed Mary to express her devotion by anointing his feet with costly ointment. This act of wanton waste, as Judas saw it, awakened indignation in that disciple. Why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor? This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief, and kept the purse and bare what was put therein. Then Jesus said, let her alone. Against the day of my burying hath she kept this. For the poor always ye have with you, but me ye not have always. Doubt not the power of delusion. Respect it. Indeed, fear it, though not in the sense of cowering before it. For as Yogananda said, one is not safe until he attains nirvikalpa samadhi, the state of final union with God. Judas, through attachment to money, opened his consciousness to subtle influences, which may be called satanic, that drew his thoughts towards other related attitudes. The importance of worldly power, for instance, and of worldly influence. The Bhagavad Gita gives a graphic explanation of how easily the mind can be drawn downward once it begins to feed on wrong attitudes. In the second chapter, Sri Krishna states, if one ponders on sense objects, there springs up attraction to them. From attraction grows desire. Desire, impatient for fulfillment, flames to anger. From anger there arises infatuation, the delusion that one object alone is worth clinging to the exclusion of all others. From infatuation ensues forgetfulness of the higher self. From forgetfulness of the self follows degeneration of this discriminative faculty. And when discrimination is lost, there follows the annihilation of one's spiritual life. At the first thought of delusion, Paramhansa Yogananda said, that is the time to stop it. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Oh, oh, oh.
So together we ask the question, how do devotees fall? And we'll begin with this beautiful prayer poem from Whispers from Eternity. It's entitled, Emerging from the Cocoon of Ignorance. I have heard thy voice, Divine Mother, saying, you have long remained enclosed in the cocoon of wrong human habits. Come out, ere the silkman, death, come to destroy you. Cut away the delusive, comfort-inducing silk cords of past habits which hold you falsely secure in their chamber of death. Come out, cease being a blind human worm sleeping and dreaming human weakness. Come out of your age-old cocoon of delusion. Spread wings of eternal power and splendor through spiritualizing your ambitions. Come out, be the butterfly of eternity. Let your wings display their innate divine beauty. Let them spread out all over space, entertained by the entertaining everything, everywhere. O wings of beauty, fly through the skies of infinity, attracting all towards everything that is most beautiful. Sun and stardust glimmering on your wings, banish gloom from every heart as you soar past on your joyous way to your home in me, O butterfly of eternity. So pretty. So the whole secret of the spiritual path is to let go of the ego and the attachments and desires that come with the ego. And they cling to us like barnacles, Yogananda says. Creation is a dream of God, and the goal of life is to awaken out of that dream and live in the divine reality. So let's begin today with a beautiful story in the Indian scriptures, and it's a story of an Indian businessman. And due to his indifference in the world, due to his getting pulled out of himself through outward desires, he fell off the spiritual path and was caught up in darkness. He got pulled into some delusion, and he was really suffering. So he fell away from God. He fell away through prioritizing his outer life and all the outer duties in his life. And he came to a Swami. He realized it. He realized it through suffering. And he said, please help me, Swami. I am interested in knowing the true self. I really, really have been operating from my ego, and I see it now. Please help me to find a way back into the wisdom of the divine. The Swami checked in and said, I am very sorry. You only have 10 days left. You will die in 10 days. I see your life coming to a close very, very soon. The man became very afraid to die without his connection to God. And so he begged, please, Swami, intervene. Well, said the Swami, go home. And if by any little chance you live longer than 10 days, come back to me and I'll teach you. So the businessman, he returned home and returned to work. And the first person he met was his accountant, who had all the things to do for the day. And he said, okay, these people have not paid you this debt, and this debt needs to be paid. Should we go into litigation? And the businessman said, forget it. I'm canceling this debt. Surprised by his change, the accountant said, well, why? And he just said, I have this money. Just give it to these people. They obviously need it and can't afford to pay it back. So a day later, he awoken and he said, I haven't spoken to my brother in 10 years, with judgments and confusion, and so many things happened to us. That gap just got so big that they didn't know how to reduce the gap. And he said, I'm going to call my brother and ask him to come over. And his brother on the phone was shocked. Come over after all these years? And he said, I am sorry. I have been judgmental. I have been critical. I have been negative, and I wish for you to forgive me. Please come. And his brother, so surprised, hung up the phone and went right over and was received with his open-hearted, open arms, and the brothers embraced, and they came back together. And so what was happening next is that the day after his brother came, the next day, the accountant came back to him and he said, all this wealth, how do I distribute it? And he said, distribute it to the poor, distribute it to the sick, distribute it to the needy. I really want to take all this money that I've been holding for no reason and give it to the people who could really use it and make a big change in their life. And as the days got closer to his final day, he didn't tell anybody, but he did call in a Catholic monk, and he read him the Bible, and then a Hindu monk, and he read the Bhagavad Gita. And then he called an Ananda Kirtan band and was asked to do some chanting, some beautiful chanting and prayer. And he really wanted to surround himself in that high frequency, that high, beautiful vibration before he passed away, all the way to the morning of the 10th day. And he decided, I'm just going to go inward, just going to commune with God. I'm just going to be in my mantra and my prayer, and I'm just going to meditate and be with my beloved. But then when midnight happened, he was so surprised. He says, how can this be true? I am still alive. I did not die. The next morning, he returned to the Swami. Swami, you said you would teach me self-realization. You would teach me the ways of wisdom if I didn't die, and I'm still alive. It's day 11. But I already taught you. You go back home and you continue to live as you've been living these past 10 days. This is the essence of yoga. Stay the course, the path to wisdom and peace. And so the Swami learned a beautiful lesson about how to bring effort and bring God and desire and ask for help from someone who really knows how to go to God. He came and he offered himself up through meditation, through service, through a sense of being free, desire to be free from all these delusions. We fall because of two things, desires and poor effort. Desires come with likes and dislikes, with attachments, a way that we just feel pulled outward all the time. Just, oh, let me do this. And we forget about our inner life, our introspection, our inner work, our inner connection with the divine. And that indifference we get, that poor effort, like, oh, I'll do it later, kind of thing. The businessman, he had a falling out with God. And how do we know? What I figure is that he did not feel the power of God. He did not feel the light of God. He did not feel the wisdom or the joy, the peace, the calmness. He did not hear the sound of Om, and he did not open his heart to God. These 8 aspects of God, that's a beautiful way for us to really tune into. Are we connected? Are we feeling these 8 qualities? What a beautiful gift Yogananda gave us of showing us that God embodied the essence of these 8 qualities. And the more we grow spiritually, the more we live in the freedom of these qualities. And so he got lost. He fell with desires, attachment, judgments, and he really lowered his self-effort and brought his efforts all outward. Paramhansa Yogananda says, I don't mind your mistakes. I mind your indifference. And what brought the businessman back to life was his self-effort. Effort to attune or connect to the one who knows, a self-realized master. Paramhansa Yogananda said, we must have attunement. No human effort will take us to God. We cannot take that leap from ego consciousness to cosmic consciousness only by mental and emotional. We can only do it with emotional and mental attunement with a liberated master. That's the only way we can make that leap to God. To those who receive him, says the Gospels, to them gave he the power to become the sons of God. When we relax our effort, we lose sight in the divine. And somehow I believe my little 8 or 9 or 10-year-old self really understood that. At the first day, I think of 3rd grade, the teacher presented me with the whole class with, you could be teacher for a day. If you really put a lot of effort into your studies, if you really did the best work possible, you had to have enthusiasm and help others and really be a student that really stood out above all. And I really wanted that. So I was going to do that. And she got me ambitious to do that. And so I decided that I was really going to do my work. And I really was able to, at the end of the school year, receive Teacher of the Day. I was so excited. I didn't know what to wear. Should I wear like a business suit or whatever? I really took it to, Jackie's, I really took it to heart, right? And so then the teacher, I came in early and she talked about the assignments that I would have to tell all the students, and then I would have to check their assignments. And I was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. So, so I told everyone about their assignment, their English assignment, and then I walked around the room. I really, like the teacher that I was, and I looked down and I looked at Joe Fonseca's paper and I said, Joseph, I think you need to make more effort in your progress here. And I put the paper down, and the teacher, I could see her chuckling after that, and she was like, I saw her smile, but I knew that self-effort was the essential. I really felt in that moment that I knew that the effort that I put in to be the teacher, that is the effort that was going to take me through life and take me through hard times and help me to grow and expand into the best person that I could be. So yeah, Joseph, you need to improve your effort, and I was this little teacher, but it was just, I remember that day and the teacher just going like this, because I was channeling a teacher that day, I really took it seriously. But there's another beautiful story that Yogananda talks about, and it's about the 2 frogs. There was a big, fat, troublicious frog and a little frog, and they were in a barn exploring, and then they fell into a bucket, a pail of milk. And it was a slippery, slippery slide, and they couldn't get out. And so they began paddling and paddling and paddling and paddling, flapping as best they could. But the big frog said, little brother, I'm giving up. Exhausted, he gave up and fell into the milk. Where there is life, there's still hope, affirmed the little frog, and he was determined, and he strongly kept paddling and paddling and paddling, intoxicated with determination. He kept paddling and paddling and paddling and paddling and paddling, and he came to a point like, I'm not sure if I can do this, but he still kept paddling, incessant paddling. Turned, all of a sudden, he felt something on the bottom of the pail under his feet, like a lump, and he realized he had churned the milk into butter, and through that was able to have a platform that he could jump out of the pail and up, and he leapt into his freedom. And Yogananda said, remember, we are all in that slippery milk pail of life, trying to get free from our troubles. We must learn to persevere in our efforts if we want to succeed in life. Have faith, keep your prayers, increase effort when things when they are difficult. Then when they're not difficult, then we will churn our opportunity by our God-given unflinching willpower. We never fall spiritually, just trip at times. We must regain our efforts to meditate and develop devotion, and God will step in and lift us up. And that's the little frog, right? He held faith, right? And faith is like a portable pillow that we can take with us everywhere. We always have comfort whenever we need it. That's the gift of faith, like knowing that whatever happens to us, it's for our highest and best good, sent to us by God, because God knows that we want him so bad, that we want to get strong enough to be able to hold our attention, our life, our hearts open to him to all circumstances. The spiritual path requires great effort to keep an inward connection, serve with God in our heart, and develop sincerely our love for all. People can get discouraged, though, and lose effort. And the spiritual path requires courage, dedication, and absolute conviction that only God can satisfy our souls yearning for true happiness, right? Yogananda said, nothing in life, we've all had these things that felt so great at the time, and then they didn't, right? Oh, this is what's going to make me happy. No, it's not it. And we've tried it all. But in our hearts, we really know that that connection, that love with our beloved is a saving grace. It's a lifeline, a life force that is why we're here and what we'll never give up on. And that's the strength that we develop as devotees. Kumar was a devotee of Sri Yukteswar's, and Ines talked a lot about him. Last week, she began the story of that in Sri Yukteswar's ashram, this man came who was a really beautiful devotee. He was brilliant. He was charismatic, and Sri Yukteswar fell in love with him. And he said, Mukunda, you're no longer running the ashram. Let's give this to Kumar. Let's give it to him. You go sweep the floors and do the dishes. And Paramhansa Yogananda, yes, sir. And, but it got to his head. Kumar started to feel like, oh, his ego took over, and he would, what did he say? His ego and desires for worldly rewards got him asked to leave the ashram because he just caught up in this desire to control, a desire to be the best. And so the boy who would have fallen to the depths had he listened, this is what Sri Yukteswar said, the boy would have never fallen to its depths had he listened to me and not gone away to mix with undesirable companions. He had rejected my protection. He had been assigned a leadership role in the ashram so he could learn Nitkam Karma, that service without desire. A worldly leader has the desire to serve, not dominate, since Sri Yukteswar. And Paramhansa reflected after he was treated so ill by Kumar, just really cruelly during that time. He was so sad, though, when he went away. And the forceful activating impulse of wrong desires is the greatest enemy to the happiness of men. The forceful activating impulse of wrong desires is the greatest enemy to the happiness of men. So as I prepared for Sunday service, and it wasn't my favorite, I have to tell you, How Do Devotees Fall? And yet, you know, I always watch to see what happens, how Yogananda ji teaches me about this topic. And the first one was I started this big home project in my yard, and do decking and moving things in a whole big project. And little by little each day, I could feel like I would start with my meditation, but then I'd be like, okay, I got to call Home Depot, you know, and then it was like, oh, when are they going to get here any minute? And you know, and so I could feel like I couldn't go in deep. My mind kept going round and round. And then I realized I hadn't been doing my daily walks, and I energize every morning when I walk, and, you know, and they fell away. My dogs were not happy. I wasn't happy. You know, when that happens, we lose our sense of inner connection, inner communion. And I could feel that loss. I could feel that deficit. And because of it, I felt more disconnected than I had in a long time. And so I really realized in that moment how we can be pulled by something so good that's happening, but we can be pulled outward in so many different ways for this desire to have this project clear and to have it done for the holiday weekend, and how to cook out, you know, and all this stuff. And yet I could feel that because I was so outwardly focused, my inner focus, even though I tried, didn't have the quality or the depth or connection that I really needed to sustain me and keep me from being pulled outward. And the second thing that happened is that one morning, you know, my puppies wake up at 5:30. They want to go out, and we all get back in bed, we all cuddle, you know, and that's a moment I feel such gratitude for my fur babies. But in that moment, you know, my mind wandered, and I realized it was going to something in my adolescence and something that happened. And I was like, all of a sudden I got pulled into my subconscious, and I thought it, and all of a sudden I realized, like, wow, that's the greatest fall of the devotee, the fall from the spiritual eye into the subconscious. It's not that big of a fall, but it's a big fall when we're talking about our inner life and our inner connection. Because when we hold our consciousness up here, we're holding it, we're tuned in, we're allowing the frequency and the vibration of God and of Guru to guide us and keep us and take us to where we need to go, and help us to choose right activities and right people and right circumstances in our life. And it weakened my connection, you know, when I left. And then I brought my awareness back upward, and I realized, you know, we must awaken from this dream of ego reality, that this is our true goal, to really hold our consciousness uplifted and to move out of how the mind can disconnect us and take us into past emotions and into the subconscious memory and into thought patterns that are away from these higher attunement to connection in God. So the Bhagavad Gita tells us this week that the mind can be drawn downward and feed on wrong desires. And that's what happened to me. Desire leads to the forgetfulness of our higher self, and we lose discrimination, and then we lose our way. So we must deepen our attunement. We must and improve our efforts. Meditate every morning without fail. Energize. It's a beautiful cup of coffee, even though we have a new Keurig machine. Conscious breathing. As you connect your breath, focus on the spiritual eye. Allow that movement. Swami Kriyananda taught a very beautiful technique with breath. And he said, take a moment to just go inside for a moment and focus on that sacral chakra. He said, energy in any of the lower 3 chakras focuses the mind on worldly desires. To uplift the energy from the chakra, the Manipura desire, sacral chakra, concentrate at this chakra while simultaneously concentrating at the spiritual eyes. This will raise and spiritualize the lower chakras. So maybe we're like, you know, really longing for a big sugary ice cream sundae, and we just can focus, okay, those desires, they come right here from that sacral chakra. Let me focus there, bring my attention there, allow that movement to get unstuck by holding my awareness, chanting Om at the spiritual eye, allowing that energy to dissipate, and the expansion of the higher qualities of the sacral chakra, joy, a sense of aliveness, freedom from control, a sense of childlike wonder awaken within us. And so we can, Swami talks about anytime we have a desire that feels like it's really pulling for us, we can do that exercise by lifting the lower energy from the chakra of desire up to the spiritual eye. And so to keep mini meditations throughout the day, and that beautiful service without the thought of getting anything. And, you know, last week I was on the way to service and I had a big pot of soup in my trunk. And I was like, oh, I didn't get flowers. And I was like, well, maybe I'll see some on the side of the road. And then some big rhododendrons were there, right? I put the brake on and the pot all the way. And our beloved John was like, Kelly, I'll clean your car for you when I got here. Just like so kind. And he spent his time to clean out the creamy rice veggie soup that was spread throughout my trunk. So we had rhododendrons, that was good, but that's the kind of selfless service that, you know, this path asks us to do. And I know I'm speaking to the choir because everyone here, so beautiful, so kind, and so generous. So remember, we are God's beloved children, and He will never let us never let us truly fall. If we trip, we resume great effort, uplift our energy. Our desire for God is fulfilled, and that beautiful pillow of faith is opened up. We have to keep our heart open. Remember that beautiful visualization. Just take one moment to end to visualize in your heart a beautiful golden ball of light with threads coming out, some thin or some thick as ropes. Cut away those attachments from that golden ball. See angels or divine beings helping you to cut away and see that golden ball completely free. Polish it with your loving presence. Feel it ignite, illuminate, and shine so brightly. And do that 2 or 3 times throughout the day when you're feeling pulled outward or drawn to attachments. Because once a sincere longing for God is in the heart, even if we trip or fall spiritually, our salvation is completely assured. Promises the gurus of self-realization.
And now we'll have our offertory. Please take what you would like to give, place it in your right hand, and repeat after me. Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
we offer to thee the fruit of our labors.
we offer to thee the fruit of our labors.
Bless this offering.
Bless this offering.
That it serve as a channel of thy light.
That it serve as a channel of thy light.
To truth-seeking souls everywhere.
To truth-seeking souls everywhere.
Excuse me. Desire, my great enemy, with his soldiers surrounding me, is giving me lots of trouble, my Lord. He's giving me lots of trouble, oh my Lord. That enemy I already see, remaining in the castle of peace. Night and day in thy joy, oh my Lord. Night and day in thy joy, oh my Lord. What will be my fate, oh Lord, tell me. Pranayam be thy religion, cosmic world. Pranayam is a cosmic world. Control the little pranayam, become all pervading.